CNBC TV 18 Young Turks Conclave 2015.
As a young college girl, Shaheen Mistri began working with street kids and she hasn't looked back since. With Akanksha Foundation and Teach for India, Shaheen has transformed the way urban youth approaches what we tend to call social work. Her philosophy of each one, teach one is truly special. Take a look.
A social activist, an educator par excellence, a woman who's earned global recognition for her devotion to educating and empowering the less privileged children of Mumbai and Pune. The CEO of Teach for India, an organization that's providing a platform for the Indian youth to be the change they wish to see. CNBC TV 18 welcomes Shaheen Mistri to the Young Turks Conclave 2015.
You'll have to imagine. I want you to imagine a crowded street outside the hotel today in the rain. And you're walking down that street and you come across a 12-year-old child who's living on the side of the street. I want you to imagine for a second asking her what her dream is, asking her where she goes to school, whether she will finish school. And then I want you to imagine you turn and ask her, who is Maya Angelou? Who's the poet Maya Angelou? What will she say, that child who lives on the side of the street? Well, this time when I was walking down, that same 12-year-old child in your imagination says, Didi, wait, I'll tell you who Maya Angelou is. Me and my friends, we wrote a poem based on the poet Maya Angelou. And here's the poem. You may look down upon us because we are from the slums, but we'll rise like educated people and show the world we can do something in life. In spite of our discouraging neighborhood and conservative background, we will rise like the day which comes after the night. We will learn how to fly in the sky flying high like a bird in the freedom of the light. We will rise, we will rise, we will rise. That's Jyoti today. A couple of weeks ago, she graduated from St. Xavier's College, same college that I graduated from many years ago. When we first started working with Jyoti, she was 12 years old. She didn't speak a word of English. She didn't have a father. She didn't have a dream. But she had a fantastic teacher. She had a teacher who changed her life. And if you talk to Jyoti today and you say, Jyoti, what do you want to do? She'll tell you, I want to go abroad and I want to study filmmaking and I want to be a documentary filmmaker. And if you say, why a documentary filmmaker, like I asked her a few weeks ago, she'll say, because I want to say things that have substance. There's a picture here of a news anchor. Her name is Avantika. And she joined Teach for India after 10 years of being a news anchor. And she came in and she said, I'm going to teach in a school not too far from this hotel, a very low-income school for 2 years through the program that we run, which is called the Teach for India Fellowship. And she came and she said, I've been successful my whole life, 10 years as a news anchor. How difficult can teaching grade 2 children actually be? And then she came to our training institute and she walked into a group of grade 3 students and she came to me the same day and she said, I'm quitting. And I said, Avantika, you can't quit. It's not even been a week. And she said, no, you don't understand. It's too difficult. They don't tell you how far behind these children are. This gap can't be bridged. Anyway, we all sat around her and we hugged her and we said, you know, lots of people feel this way in their first week of teaching. you will be fine. 18 months later, when I walked into her classroom, again, not too far from here, she was teaching grade 3. She had stuck it out for 18 months. When she started with those kids 18 months earlier, they were not able to read alphabets. I walked into that classroom and I see children sitting on the edge of their seat reading the unabridged version of Oliver Twist. And this is not a story about reading. This is a story about the potential of every single one of us in this room and every single child across this country who is not in this room and likely will not one day be in this room. And so what Teach for India does, and my earlier organization, Akanksha, is we work with hundreds and thousands of teachers because we believe that we need a movement of these teachers in every aspect of what we call the puzzle of educational inequity. And so people like Nirali and Avantika teach full-time for 2 years, and then they go off and they find their piece in this puzzle. This is one of my students. His name was Latif. And he came into an Akanksha classroom when he was 10 years old. He was one of those kids. I talk about most of my kids in the past saying they were so naughty, they were so difficult. This kid wasn't like that. He walked in and he was one of those dream kids. He was good at everything. Anyway, he died very, very tragically. A couple of years after he starred in a big musical that we did with our program. And it was extremely sad. He was in college. He was in this musical. He had people willing to support his whole future. And I was driving to Pune, and I almost got to Pune, and I got a call saying, Latif is in the ICU. Turned my car around before I reached to say goodbye. He had passed away. The reason I tell you the story, though, is the next day in the community, I was with his elderly grandfather, and his grandfather said, Didi, I took 14,000 rupees out of the trunk and I put it in Latif's hand. And I said, Latif, take this money and go to a private hospital. This is not an ordinary illness. Don't go to a government hospital. And Latif, because he loved his grandfather so much and he didn't want him to go back to work, without telling anyone, took that 14,000 rupees, hid it under the bed, went to a government hospital and died less than 12 hours later. And I think that that day changed my life because I used to think that I knew what it meant to give. And Latif helped me see that we don't have any idea of our capacity to give. And then talking about giving, I'm going to end with one last story. This is today my very dear friend. At the time of this photograph, one of our students, again, had to be dragged to school every day, Seema. And Seema didn't want to study and she didn't want to come to school, and she had this fantastic teacher, Rajshri, who said, you're going to come to school. And Rajshri would go to her home and she'd drag her out of the community and she'd bring her to school. She stayed in school, she graduated from school, she went to college, first kid in her community to go to college, stood second in college, had a dream to work in a big office, got into an MBA program, was nervous about not getting in, and that was the second year that we had launched the Teach for India Fellowship. So she also applied to the Teach for India Fellowship to be a teacher. So Seema comes to me and she says, Didi, I don't know what to do. I have a big problem. And I said, what's your problem, Seema? And she said, I got into the MBA school and I also got into Teach for India. What should I do? You know, my kid had this choice to make. She joined Teach for India. And a few months later, I met her and I said, Seema, that's her with her kids. I said, how did you decide? I mean, I have people from IIM nervous about doing Teach for India because what's going to happen to their career? And for you with your background. And she said, Dee, in the end, it was so easy. You see, a teacher changed my life. What could I do that could be more important than that? So she graduates after 2 years from the fellowship, and then she says, now I want to start a school. And so along with a group of alumni, she starts a school and she starts working as a teacher. And today she's the principal of a government school in Mumbai, and she's devoted her entire life. That's full circle where it's come after 24 years. I was 3 days ago in Greece, and I was driving, and suddenly I looked up, and I couldn't help thinking of the poem that I started with, flying high in the sky, flying high. We will rise, we will rise, we will rise. I think if a cloud can become an angel, what is it really that together we can't do in this country for our kids and for ourselves and for our country? Thank you.
We, along with Titan Celestial Time, are celebrating the spirit of entrepreneurship. Kindly accept this token of appreciation from us.
Whatever your field is, there is a chance to kind of rewrite the rules. Because the old rules are not going to apply.
We always used to make a joke saying, hey, you want to do a roast in India? Ha 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 ha, marne ka hai kya?
What about the black clothes, guys?
This is not me trying to look sexy. This is me trying to look like no one's eyes should bleed at the end of the night.
This is me trying to look kaun sa shirt press hai.
Oh, that was a very, very incisive business question you asked there. I'm really glad.
CNBC TV 18's Young Turks Conclave 2015.